I'm about to tell you something that will make me sound like a terrible mother. For most of my adult life, I gave my kids money, lots of money. Whenever they needed help, and they needed help constantly, I said yes. Car payments, mortgage help, credit card bills, groceries, daycare, medical bills, emergencies that happened every few months. I said yes to everything because that's what good mothers do, right? You help your kids. You sacrifice for them. You put their needs before your own. That's what I believed. And that belief nearly destroyed my retirement, my financial security, and ironically, my relationship with my children. I'm 78 years old. 3 years ago, at 75, my financial advisor sat me down and said something that changed everything. Linda, if you keep giving money to your kids at this rate, you will run out of money within 3 years. You will be broke at 78. And then what? Who's going to take care of you? That conversation was the wake-up call I needed. I stopped. I said no. And it was the hardest, most guilt-ridden, most liberating thing I've ever done. Today, I'm financially secure. My retirement is safe. And my relationships with my kids are healthier than they've been in decades. Let me tell you how I got here. Because if you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you're still bankrolling your adult children, you need to hear this. You're not helping them. You're hurting yourself. And it has to stop. It started small and reasonable. When David, my oldest, was going through a rough patch after his divorce, I helped with his rent for a few months. That seemed fine. Temporary help during a crisis. When Karen's husband lost his job, I paid their mortgage for 3 months so they wouldn't lose the house. That seemed like the right thing to do. Family helping family. When Michael's car broke down and he couldn't afford the repairs, I wrote a check. When Amy's daughter needed braces and they didn't have dental insurance, I paid for it. Each instance seemed justified. Each time, I told myself it was temporary, a one-time thing, just helping my kids through a tough spot. But it was never one time. It became a pattern, an expectation, an endless cycle. David would call, "Mom, I'm short on rent this month. Can you help?" Karen would text, "Mom, the car needs new tires. I'm tapped out. Can you cover it?" Michael would show up at my door. "Mom, I got hit with a huge tax bill. I'm freaking out." Amy would call crying, "Mom, I don't know how we're going to pay for Christmas. The kids are expecting presents." And every single time, my response was the same. "Of course, honey. How much do you need?" I wrote check after check after check. $500 here, $1,200 there, $3,000 for this emergency, $800 for that crisis. Over the course of about 7 years, from when Tom got sick until that financial advisor meeting, I gave my 4 kids approximately $127,000. I know the exact number because my advisor showed me the spreadsheet. $127,000. Money that came directly out of my retirement savings. And here's the thing that makes me angriest looking back. Most of these emergencies weren't really emergencies. They were the result of poor planning, overspending, and the knowledge that Mom would bail them out. David was living in an apartment he couldn't afford and eating out 5 nights a week, but he couldn't make rent. Karen and her husband both had new cars and took a vacation to Disney World, but they couldn't pay their mortgage. Michael had the latest iPhone and a big screen TV, but car repairs were a crisis. I was enabling bad financial behavior and calling it love. I was teaching my kids that they didn't need to be responsible because Mom would always rescue them. And I was sacrificing my own financial security to do it. The breaking point came when I was 75. I went to see my financial advisor, Patricia, for my annual review. Patricia had been warning me for a couple of years that my withdrawals from savings were unsustainable, but I'd brushed it off. I'm helping my kids, I'd say. It'll slow down eventually. But it never slowed down. At that meeting, Patricia pulled up a projection on her computer and turned the screen toward me. Linda, look at this. If you continue withdrawing money at the rate you've been withdrawing for the past 3 years, your retirement savings will be completely depleted by the time you're 78. Completely gone. Then what? You'll have Social Security and your small pension, which combined is about $2,400 a month. Can you live on $2,400 a month? What if you have a health crisis? What if you need home care or assisted living? You'll have nothing. Your kids will have to support you. Is that what you want? I sat there, staring at that graph, watching my savings decline to zero, and something clicked. I was 75 years old. I could easily live another 15 or 20 years. What was I going to do at 85 or 90 if I had no money? Move in with one of my kids who couldn't even manage their own finances? Become a burden? Rely on them to take care of me when they couldn't take care of themselves? The thought terrified me, and I realized I'd been so focused on being a good mother that I was destroying my own future. I was sacrificing my security, my independence, my ability to age with dignity, and for what? So my 46-year-old son could avoid budgeting? So my 49-year-old daughter could take another vacation? I left Patricia's office that day and made a decision. I was done. No more money to the kids. Not $50, not $500, not $5,000. Done. And I was going to tell them. Telling my kids was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I called a family meeting, all 4 kids and their spouses. I'd never done anything like that before. They thought someone had died. When everyone was sitting in my living room, looking worried, I took a deep breath and said, I need to tell you something important. I love you all. I've loved helping you over the years, but I can no longer give any of you money. My financial advisor showed me that I'm on track to run out of money if I keep going the way I've been going. Sorry, I need to protect my retirement. I need to make sure I can take care of myself as I get older. So from now on, the Bank of Mom is closed. I will not be giving loans, gifts, or financial help of any kind. The room went silent. Then the pushback started. Mom, you can't be serious. What are we supposed to do? But you've always helped us. We count on you. What about the grandkids? This isn't fair. My youngest, Amy, started crying. Mom, how could you do this? We need you. I felt terrible. I felt guilty. I felt like the worst mother in the world, but I held firm. I'm sorry. I know this is hard, but this is what has to happen. I have to protect my future. The next few months were rough. Really rough. David got angry and didn't call for 6 weeks. Karen sent me passive-aggressive texts about how nice it must be to have money while your daughter struggles. Michael showed up, trying to guilt me. I thought family helped each other. I guess you don't care about us anymore. Amy kept calling, crying about how stressed she was about money. Every conversation felt like an accusation. I felt horrible. I questioned whether I was being selfish. Was I a bad mother? Should I just give them the money and hope it worked out? But I didn't break. And you know what happened? Slowly, gradually, things changed. David got a roommate to lower his rent. Karen and her husband sold one of their cars and bought a cheaper used car. Michael started actually budgeting and cut back on unnecessary expenses. Amy's husband got a second job for a while. My kids started figuring it out, because they had to, because mom wasn't there to bail them out anymore. And something else happened. Our relationships got better. Once money was off the table, our conversations changed. They stopped calling me only when they needed something. They started calling just to talk. We talked about their lives, their kids, their jobs, their struggles, but not as transactions. I wasn't their ATM anymore. I was their mom. And that shift was powerful. We started rebuilding relationships based on connection, not money. Now, 3 years later, I'm 78. My retirement savings are intact, actually growing again because I'm only taking reasonable withdrawals. I'm financially secure. I sleep well at night, knowing I can take care of myself. And my relationship with my kids is better than it's been in years. They respect me more now. They've become more financially responsible, and they've stopped seeing me as an endless source of money and started seeing me as a person with my own needs and limitations. If you're reading this and you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you're still giving money to your adult children, I need you to hear this. Stop. Evaluate your finances honestly. Are you jeopardizing your own retirement to help adult children who should be managing their own money? If the answer is yes, you have to stop. I know it feels impossible. I know you feel guilty. I know you think you're being a bad parent. But you're not. You're being smart. You're protecting your future. And you're actually doing your kids a favor by forcing them to be responsible adults. Here's what I learned through this process. Lessons I wish someone had told me decades ago. Lesson 1. Helping and enabling are different things. Helping is temporary assistance during a genuine crisis, a medical emergency, a natural disaster, a sudden job loss. Enabling is repeatedly bailing someone out of predictable problems caused by poor choices. If your adult child has a financial crisis every few months, you're not helping, you're enabling. And enabling doesn't help anyone. Lesson 2. You cannot set yourself on fire to keep others warm. That phrase changed my perspective. I was literally destroying my financial security to temporarily help my kids with problems they could solve themselves. I was setting myself on fire. And the worst part, it wasn't even keeping them warm long term. They'd just come back needing more money. Helping them was hurting me and not actually solving their problems. Lesson 3. Teaching responsibility is a gift. When I stopped giving my kids money, I gave them something more valuable, the gift of learning to handle their own problems. My son David told me recently, "Mom, I was so mad when you cut me off, but honestly, it was the best thing you ever did for me. I had to grow up. I had to learn to budget. I'm actually better with money now than I've ever been." That's the gift of responsibility. Lesson 4. Boundaries are healthy, not selfish. I grew up believing that saying no to family was selfish. But boundaries aren't selfish. They're necessary. They protect your well-being and create healthier relationships. Once I set financial boundaries, my relationships with my kids improved. We had actual relationships, not transactional interactions. Lesson 5. You can't save your kids from life. Life is hard. Money is stressful. Everyone struggles sometimes. That's normal. My kids had to learn to navigate financial stress, to budget, to make sacrifices, to figure it out. And they could only learn that by doing it themselves. I couldn't save them from life. I could only delay the lessons. What about emergencies? People ask me, what if there's a real emergency? What if your child truly needs help? My answer? I evaluate case by case. If one of my kids had a genuine, unexpected medical emergency or crisis, yes, I would help if I could, but I'd be very careful about what qualifies as an emergency. Needing new tires because you didn't budget for maintenance? Not an emergency. Your child being hospitalized? That's an emergency. The key is being honest about what's truly a crisis versus a foreseeable expense that should have been planned for. What if you've already given too much? If you're reading this and thinking, I've already given too much, I've already depleted my savings, it's not too late. Stop now. Today, have the conversation with your kids. Rebuild your savings as much as you can. Cut expenses if necessary. Consider working part-time if you're able. Consult a financial advisor to create a plan. Every dollar you stop giving away is a dollar toward your own security. Start now. Understanding the emotional weight of this decision. I want to be honest with you about something that nobody talks about. Stopping financial support to your adult children is emotionally brutal. Even though I knew it was the right decision, even though my financial advisor showed me the numbers, even though logically I understood I had no choice, the guilt was crushing. For weeks after that family meeting, I lay awake at night questioning myself. Was I being selfish? Was I abandoning my kids when they needed me? What kind of mother cuts off her own children? I cried. A lot. I second-guessed myself constantly. Every time my phone rang and it was one of my kids, my stomach would drop. Every time I saw a Facebook post about one of them struggling, I felt like I was failing them. The guilt was so overwhelming that I almost broke several times. David called 2 weeks after the family meeting saying he couldn't make rent and might get evicted. Every fiber of my being wanted to write that check. My hand literally reached for my checkbook, but I stopped myself. I called my daughter Jennifer, who lives in Boston and wasn't part of the financial dependency cycle, and told her what was happening. She said something I'll never forget. Mom, if you give him money now, you're telling him you didn't mean what you said. You're teaching him that if he pushes hard enough, you'll break. Don't break. He will figure it out. He's 52 years old. He can figure out how to make rent. She was right. David didn't get evicted. He borrowed money from a friend, picked up some extra freelance work, and made it work. But if I'd caved, he would have learned nothing except that Mom's boundaries weren't real. The guilt doesn't disappear overnight. 3 years later, I still feel twinges of it. But I've learned to distinguish between productive guilt, guilt that tells you you've actually done something wrong, and manipulative guilt, which is what you feel when you've set a healthy boundary and someone doesn't like it. My kids feeling disappointed or frustrated that I wouldn't give them money wasn't a sign I was doing something wrong. It was a sign I was doing something necessary. I also realized something important. I wasn't actually helping my kids by giving them money. I was helping myself feel like a good mother. There's a difference. Real help would have been teaching them financial responsibility decades ago. Real help would have been letting them experience consequences. What I was doing was managing my own anxiety and guilt by throwing money at their problems. That's not love. That's codependency. If you're facing this decision, prepare yourself emotionally. The guilt will come. The pushback will be intense. Your kids might say hurtful things. They might give you the silent treatment. They might try to manipulate you with tears or anger or stories about how hard their life is. Stand firm anyway. You're not doing this to hurt them. You're doing it to save yourself and ultimately to help them become independent adults. Remind yourself of that every single day. How to have the conversation. If you decide to stop giving money to your adult children, here's how to do it. Be direct and clear. Don't apologize excessively. Don't leave room for negotiation. I can no longer provide financial help. This is final. Explain why. I need to protect my retirement. I need to ensure I can take care of myself. Offer emotional support instead. I love you, I'm here to talk, to advise, to support you emotionally. But I can't give you money. Hold firm. They will push back. They will guilt you. They will be angry. Stand firm. This is about your survival. Give them resources. Point them toward financial counseling, budgeting tools, community resources. Show you care about their success, even if you're not funding it. Final thoughts. I'm 78 years old. I have enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my life. I'm not rich, but I'm secure. I can take care of myself. I don't have to worry about running out of money or becoming a burden to my kids. That peace of mind is priceless. 3 years ago, when I cut off the financial flow to my kids, I thought I was losing them. I thought they'd hate me. I thought I was destroying our relationships. Instead, I saved our relationships. I forced them to become responsible adults. And I protected my own future. If you're giving money to adult children and it's jeopardizing your retirement, please stop. You are not a bad parent. You are a smart person protecting your future. Your kids will survive. They'll figure it out, and they might even thank you for it someday. My son David said to me last month, "Mom, I'm actually proud of you for cutting us off. It took guts, and it made me better." That's all I needed to hear. I did the right thing. And if you're in this situation, so can you. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please leave a comment. Tell me your story. Are you struggling with this issue? Have you successfully set boundaries with adult children? Let's support each other. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, a friend, a parent, someone who's giving away their retirement, please share this video. It might be the wake-up call they need. Subscribe for more honest conversations about aging, money, and family. And remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary.